everybody, I say as I lift my glass.
Hey guys, it's Helen Hartsmith here with
Kathy.
I know you were taking a drink, sorry. I tried to take a minute.
You tried to do that on purpose. I know you did.
No, I didn't. I tried to draw it out. Anyhow, welcome. You don't want to hear us bickering.
Mom and Dad, I hate it when you fight.
We find ourselves once again in the car on a journey. So what better things to do than record a podcast? I think it's great use of our time.
I think so too. Although if it is hard to listen to, somebody needs to let us know so we stop doing it.
Yeah, I think I I pretty much do a listen through.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that if I had said anything about a link that I note it. So I do a listen through, and we do have some background noise, but it's not too distracting.
Okay.
It's not like we have windows down.
Right.
So
do we want windows down?
No, let's not do.
It's 20 degrees.
Yeah, it's 20 degrees. We're not putting windows down.
No.
So, we're here with another podcast. This would be
really? A podcast? Is that what we're doing?
It's a podcast. We're doing today. We're here with episode 302 of the Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. And this podcast is going to be about the shortened version that y'all are going to see on the title graphic is going to be how to get along. But in fact, it's how to deal with family members or friends who don't understand or agree with you being pagan.
And thank you, Crystal, for giving us the suggestion.
Yes, very much. So, but before we get into the actual discussion, we have business to deal with.
We do. Oh, and it's not making the noise. Hold on, let me turn off my Bluetooth.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it again.
It's time for the correspondence of the week. It's a good thing that people do not bank on the production value, because a lot of times we are a hot mess on here.
Wait, there's production value?
Yeah, well, we try. We strive.
You know what? We are a joy to listen to.
Right.
I say, though I've never listened to the podcast.
You're so bad. Anyhow, correspondence of the week. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yes, because you have the pertinent information.
Yeah.
So we have chosen this week to have as our correspondence Lord Ganesha.
Lord Ganesha is a Hindu god, and if you don't know him by his name, then you probably know him by the fact that he is the elephant-headed god from the Hindu religion. Now, Lord Ganesha is, he holds providence over multiple areas. One of the biggest ones being, he is the remover of obstacles.
As elephants do.
Exactly. Now, in addition to that, he's also known as the Lord of Beginnings. And a lot of the stuff that I was reading was saying that when you go to Lord Ganesha about removing an obstacle, when you go to him about a beginning, it's usually about removing something.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because you have to have an ending to have a beginning.
Right. Circle of life.
Right. That. Exactly.
The wheel of time.
So I enjoyed that. So he also holds providence over happiness, wealth and prosperity, and wisdom and knowledge. Now, have you worked with Ganesha?
No, but I have been thinking about working with Ganesha.
I have worked with him before on some smaller things. I actually went to him when we were doing yoga a lot.
Right.
And went to him about, remove my obstacles of thinking that I can't do yoga. And things of that nature. And it was very helpful. He was very helpful.
Which is kind of what I would like to go to him for, is I need to get healthy, and I know that I put a lot of obstacles in my own path.
Right.
For that, so.
Right, and speaking of that, if anybody has watched I have started my Master Spell series. And so there are, the first 2 videos are up at the point where we're recording this. So I am going to be working with Lord Ganesha this year as well in working with my Master Spell. He came to me when I was just formulating the plan of the Master Spell. So I will be working with him, and he's a pretty cool deity to deal with. I looked for some correspondences in how, ways to interact with him, and about the only thing that I could find were symbols of his. And he's usually depicted with a trident. Sometimes he's either holding a trident or it'll be on his third eye. He's also usually depicted with the symbol on his palm, and he'll hold his hand up.
Right.
But it seems like that's his father is Shiva, and he's depicted that way a great deal as well. He's also usually depicted with a mouse or a rat, which I thought was interesting. There's also a lot of talk about a tusk, one of his tusks being broken, and him using that in his workings.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's also depicted a lot with an axe, a really neat ornamental looking axe, as well as a noose. Because you hang things and you cut things.
And when we were at Convocation, they had, one of the booths had depictions of Ganesha. And I wish that I could remember what she said about them, because I asked her about that. And there's very specific symbology with the axe and the noose.
Yes, there is, but I didn't make note of it because I didn't want to, go into
we've already
huge
been
amount.
a long time on Ganesha.
Right. Right.
So, I absolutely, if you're interested in removing some obstacles and getting some help with that, I plan to work with Ganesha. Helen is working with him. So.
And as far as I know that the Hem, H-E-M, line of incense, I know that they make a Lord Ganesha incense that I've purchased before.
Wait, are we going to Coyote Wisdom today?
We might.
Oh, well, hey. All right.
I don't know if they have it, but it's definitely something to look for. Okay, so that is the business end of things, of the correspondence of the week. All right.
Okay, I gotta turn my Bluetooth back on in case somebody calls.
Right. So, yeah, how to deal with family members that don't agree with you being.
And this is so applicable for me. I don't know about you. I know that some of your family members accept it and some of them don't. But I'm here to tell you that all of my blood family members either barely accept it or don't accept it.
Right. So, yeah, and I have explained things numerous times. I think that I haven't received any outward hostility from my family. There's been some extended friends that I think of as family that have shown some concern about me being a witch, but we haven't had many in-depth conversations. So why don't you share with us what you're comfortable sharing as far as what your situation is?
Well, I came from a Southern Baptist background, Hellfire Damnation, and all of my family, with the exception of my mother, still attend church, still, are very, very Christian in that aspect. My mother never went to church, but she is extremely Christian. I never actually came out to my father when he was still alive, because knowing his beliefs, it was not worth it for me to get into that conversation. And while I never came out to my brother officially, he is my friend on Facebook. And honey, if you don't know I'm pagan by what I post on Facebook, you're not paying attention.
Right.
So this has led to him not allowing me to see my granddaughter, who he is raising. I mean, I see her at family events, but I'm not able to pick her up and take her places. I can't keep her overnight. I just can't have anything more to do with her than family events. And that's very upsetting to me, obviously.
Right.
But now my sister has not, I have talked to my sister about it. She's not said anything to me, although I know that it upsets her that I am pagan, that I'm a witch. But I know that she does talk to my mom about it, and that there's concerns about me not going to heaven. The big issue for me is my mom, because every single time I see her, and it's more often now that she's living in the next town over as opposed to 45 minutes away, every time I talk to her, she brings the conversation back to the Bible and religion. And it's just so frustrating to me, because I feel like she's trying to convert me. And when I said that to her, she's like, well, I am trying to convert you. And I'm like, oh, well, no, this isn't going to work for me. So it's very frustrating to me, because I love my mom and I want to spend time with her, but I don't want to feel like she's converted. You're trying to convert me. Because let me tell you, honey, that ain't happening.
Right. And we've had numerous conversations about this.
We have.
So, Crystal is the one that kind of threw it out there as a suggestion for us to talk about this. So, I actually taught a class, not last year, but the year before, on how to talk to people from different religions. So I kind of pulled a couple of points from that presentation. And then I also did some quick Google searches on, and I looked at Christian articles, publications from Christian periodicals that talk about how to defend your religion. And I pulled out a few. I have 5.
Okay, so Helen is like way more prepared for this because she did some investigating. Although I have previously read the book called Pagans and Christians by, I can't remember his name. Very, very good book about how to talk about religion. Although it's been a while since I read it.
Right. Well, and maybe some of the things that I throw up there will,
Right. And I've been living it and meditating on it and, whatever. So we think we'll have a good discussion here.
Right. So I'm just going to launch in.
Sure.
And now I want to preface anything that I say by saying that I am not a psychologist. I am not an expert in religion. I am only walking my path. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so in thinking about this situation and doing some looking around to kind of get some firm, ideas.
Okay, before we get into this, can I say one thing?
Yes.
So, while we all want to talk about our beliefs and our religion, I think it's very important to note that you have to pick your battles. Because, like I said, I never mentioned my religion to my dad, because he would never understand and it was not worth it to me. And if you know someone who is a rabid Christian, as I like to call it, or is very conservative in their views, it might be best to just not bring it up.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty sound advice. I don't have anybody in my life that I feel that I couldn't,
But there are people out there.
Right, there are people out there.
Yeah. Okay. So now go ahead.
All right, so the first thing that I think that is important is you have to know where you're at on your path. Like, it's your responsibility to know what your religion, your beliefs, your path, whatever it is your responsibility to define that.
Right, because if you can't define it, you can't defend it.
Exactly. You need to be ready to explain why you feel that whatever path you're on is right for you.
And I think that's very important, no matter if you're pagan, Wiccan, Odinist.
Exactly.
Any path that you're on, you have to be able to logically defend your path.
And you have to know its tenets.
Right.
Like, if you're going to be Wiccan, then you need to know not that there are many, but you need to know the rules of Wicca.
Right.
Okay? You need to be aware of the, and it harm none, do as you will. As you will.
And what that actually means.
Right.
Which it does not mean walk through the world not harming a fly. That's not what it means.
Well, that is your interpretation of it.
Right.
Okay.
But you need to know your interpretation of it.
Right. You need to know the cosmology.
Right.
You know, if you're committing yourself to being a heathen or to following the Greek pantheon or whatever, then you need to know the cosmology of what you're stepping into.
Right.
You know, so I think the short of that is you don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a witch, and you just announce it to the world.
Right.
Without knowing anything about it.
Right. Because what if deep down you're not really a witch?
Exactly. Right. You have to know enough about what word you want to claim for yourself to know why you want to claim it for yourself.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think that, like Kathy said, I think that this is true for anyone from any religion. Right. You have to know why this works for you. Right. Okay. And I think that that's pretty much the most important thing. Right. Because you have to walk it. Right. Okay.
And if you can't define it, you can't defend it.
Exactly. The next thing that I think is important is that you need to seek to find common ground.
Oh, that's so important.
With other religions.
Because it all really boils down to the same types of things, you know?
Right.
Be nice to each other.
Right.
Don't kill people.
Right. And I think an important lesson to teach someone who doesn't agree with the path that you've chosen for yourself, I think it is important to show them that we're not that different.
Right.
Treat others as you would like them to treat you.
Right.
You know, be kind. Don't kill. Don't steal.
Don't lie.
Right. These are all basic tenets for all of the major world religions. And so that means that we're not as different as people like to make us think that we are.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So
because, you know, when it boils down to it, it's the essence of each religion is pretty much the same. And it's hard when you look at the way that each religion is presented to see those similarities, but take the time to look.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes that's a lot easier than you think that it might be, simply because if you grew up in a religion and you think that it's not for you, you at least have a knowledge of it.
Right.
That you can, look at, So, and if you come from a specific religion, then that's probably the religion of your family, and that's the religion that they're coming from, and that you are going to find yourself being defensive of.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean?
Oh.
So, the next one is to know the truth of why you have turned to paganism. Now, I think that this kind of goes along with my first point, but when I talk about truth, I'm talking about what inherently in you brought you here. What, did you have an awakening? Did you see something? Did you meet somebody?
Did you experience something?
Exactly.
This is, in a way, very much different than know your religion. This is it, or know why you walk the path. It's what brought you to the path.
Right.
Yeah, and everybody, it's different.
Right. And what about it is truthful to you? For me, coming to Christianity, coming to paganism had a lot to do with the fact that I saw there being a universal deity that presented itself to people of all religions. And that was a truth that I did not feel came from Christianity.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wasn't Christian.
Yeah. For me, I got pissed off at a preacher, but, I think I've told that story before.
Right. So the next point then is keep the conversation civil.
Yeah, because it's easy, really, really easy when it comes to religion to let tempers take hold. And this is not a situation where you want to do that. Mm-hmm. Religion has caused enough hate and suffering over the centuries. Let's not do that now.
Exactly.
We are evolved enough as a species that we can keep calm and speak logically and calmly about this. Not to mention the fact, if you stay calm and logical, then it's hard for the other person to go off on,
Mm-hmm. If it takes two to fight, and if you're not going to fight, then you don't have a fight.
It takes the wind out of their sails,
right?
And it's really, you have to keep this as calm as you can, because there's so many emotions involved with religion.
And really, one thing to keep in mind and to understand is that if someone is questioning your faith and not agreeing with or understanding your faith, then they're doing so from a place of love.
Most people.
Well, no, your mother is concerned.
Yes, family members.
From a place of love.
Right.
And that's kind of like the central
right.
idea.
She cares about me. She wants to see me in heaven. She wants me to have the eternal life that is promised in the Christian Bible. And she doesn't understand that my path is different, but could still lead me to the same place that her path is leading her to.
Right. So the point that I'm trying to make is that usually they're coming from a place of love in their caring.
Right.
So it's important to meet them halfway, and keeping civil is a way to do that.
Yes.
Okay. And the last thing that I have kind of goes along with the very first thing that Kathy said about, it's not worth it if you think that you're going to have an issue with someone to even tell them. And that is, get out or stop the conversation.
Yeah, that's very important. And I've gotten to the point with my mom where I've said, look, we just need to not talk about religion because we don't agree, and it's just upsetting. Not that she listens to me, because the Bible gets brought up every time I see her, but at least she has tried to back off from the, don't you believe in this, and don't you believe in this, and Jesus says this, and she stopped doing that for the most part.
Right.
And when she does start that, I just say, Mom, I thought we agreed not to talk about religion.
Right. And that's kind of it. You might come to a point with a loved one or with a friend or whatever that you have to agree to disagree.
Yes. That's very, very important.
And, there of course is the old piece of advice that you should never talk about religion or politics with your friends.
Right.
Or family. I don't necessarily believe that it's true. I believe that, these are the closest people in your life. And your religion is probably like one of the most important aspects of your life.
Right.
And if you can't talk to your family and friends about it, and you can't remain civil, and you can't have an open dialogue, then what the hell? But I mean, that's just my thought process on it. I want to talk. I want to be able to talk about.
But sometimes with some people, you can't.
Exactly. And so you have to realize that. And it's okay to set boundaries, and it's okay to say, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and boundaries is very important. It is okay to say, Mom, we can't talk about this because we don't agree, and you're hurting my feelings by pushing on this.
Right. And sometimes you have to remember that you might have to say that
a lot. Yeah. So that's our advice. If you have some other suggestion, please let us know.
Oh, definitely.
I think we need to have a podcast about further information, because the podcast we did on the cultural appropriation, I have more information that I would like to further on that.
Oh.
So,
well, maybe we do a part 2.
So, we could certainly do a part 2 about this. And
definitely.
If you are interested in maybe phoning in and being involved in a podcast, or if you want to shoot us an email with your story or anything along those lines, please feel free to do so.
Oh, definitely. We're always looking for different points of view or stories to share. So feel free to drop us an email at heartofthewitchespath@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear from you in that aspect, or if you want to
leave a comment.
Exactly. So if you I think that we're kind of
wrapping up.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. Right. So
since we're at the Doll Show now.
Yeah. So yes, we're at our destination. So if you've learned anything from this podcast or liked it, please give us a thumbs up.
Right. Feel free to share this with anyone that you think might benefit from it.
Exactly. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. We're just as a point of reference for you, Kathy, because you don't always know this, we are at over 230 subscribers.
Holy
right now.
Crap, we should do a drawing.
Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe when we hit 500.
No, that's too
do
long.
A drawing.
We should do it at 3. Do it at 3.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll see how soon we hit 3.
Okay.
All right. So if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like us to do a giveaway, let us know. We do have, there is a giveaway that we've planned on doing, but we haven't done the shopping for.
Oh,
we should do that.
Damn.
So, okay. So look for a possible giveaway. I'm not gonna, promise anything, but we'll see. So that's it. We're gonna say goodbye now.
Okay, say goodbye now.
All right. So, thanks for walking the path for a little while with us, and until next time, blessed be.